If you want a simple way to relax creatively, try Energy Form's coloring book. Geared towards adults, these panels, based largely on sacred geometry, feature whimsical designs that you can color with your favorite materials, like crayons, markers, paint, and even glitter. The easiest way to find Energy Forms is from the direct link in my link tree. Thanks for relaxing with me. The video you came here to watch starts now. Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is Chapter episode 9. My guest this week is Brian Stead. Brian is a guitarist and music producer. Welcome. We're talking to Brian Stead here. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Brian is a guitarist and music director or producer. What was the second thing?
Yeah,
I think you said producer, right?
Yeah, I make music.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to show people where they can find you and what you do here.
Yeah.
So get the share screen. Here we are. So we have Linktree for your Dandelion Catastrophe, which is you.
Yeah, that's
your...
my solo project.
Mm-hmm.
So I just came up with the most obnoxious name possible for it about 10 years ago. And
oh, neat.
Yeah. So it's all me. It's definitely hard rock, but I do all the vocals, all the guitars.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it can be fun to have a title other than just your name.
I think so.
I think
I didn't want to
maybe
just call it Brian Stead because I felt like it was more than just me, like if it was like me kind of doing some acoustic stuff stripped down, that would have been more fitting for just my name. But
nice.
Yeah, these songs are kind of bigger and I just wanted to have like kind of a wacky name. So the Dandelion Catastrophe it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. My brother has some stuff under the name Chet Wallop, which is like antiquated comedy kind of stuff. So we have it's really, I should buy his book, but I haven't yet. So we have Bandcamp and Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon. I noticed you got little social media clickies down here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for reasons unknown, your Instagram got smoked, and I found that out like by accident one day and then told you about it.
That's right.
I don't know what the hell was going on there. Yeah, because I was trying to tag you in a post and I couldn't. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened.
I don't know.
I kind of was trying to get back into it for like a week. I was trying to reach out to them and I just had no luck. And so they toasted my account and I just kind of was like, you know what?
No, Allison couldn't get her account back either. That's some bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. So here we have the Bandcamp, just so people can see a little bit. I think the Bandcamp is cool because I like that, if you have a few extra bucks, you can throw in an extra few bucks over the cost.
Yeah, if you want. It's also free to listen to.
Yeah.
Sketchy Goat did the artwork. Shout out to Carmen.
Yeah, we had her on last week.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yep. So we got this sort of smoky dreamscape here. Rough. Oh, it is a dandelion. I didn't.
Yeah.
Like I like how I've had this for like over a year and I just noticed that.
It's subtle. It's subtle, which is why I like it. It's just kind of this apocalyptic paradise. I think she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and then obviously we do have Twitter still. So
yeah, Twitter's kind of what I'm on now for whatever reason.
It's like the last social media standing.
Yeah,
that's not that easy to get smoked from for no reason.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop share. I'm just gonna hold this up again because I realized that last couple weeks ago I was holding up product and I was on like the little tiny next to the other screen. So we have the album, which is optional CD. So there we go.
Yes.
With the graphics by Sketchy Goat.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Do you have anything you want to talk about in terms of music in general or your outlook or what you're doing before I answer before I ask you the questions, or do you just want to get into it and then sort of discuss what you're doing later?
Let's just get into it, and I think that will just kind of come out naturally. Just kind of what I'm doing. And
nice. I do want to point out that this Send Out the Clown graphic behind you that's really prominent is the Fume project that you did with Allison and Mateo, who were on a couple weeks ago. Future Cat here to interject that we failed a little bit at this point in the conversation, and that the correct information for the cover of Fume's Send Out the Clown single is that the cover art was made by the very talented Jess Reef. So that was a sort of a band name for the three of you together, and that song is pretty hard, but it kicks a lot of ass.
Thanks.
So just to point out, because that was taking up a lot of space in the background there. It was like, look at me. All right, so the first question, in your opinion, or from your perspective, what is creativity and where does it come from?
What is creativity? So, I mean, there's a couple ways to look at it. I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, creativity is like kind of everything. It's kind of like the source,
right,
of all things. Like, we don't know how or why anything exists really, but somewhere along the line, like, you know, we're here, everything's here,
right.
It's the life force for me personally. It just kind of keeps me going. It's just this kind of naturally inherent thing in me, and I think any artist, but really everybody's got some element of creativity in them. It's like a kind of a survival.
That's true.
Like going back to prehistoric times, if you want, like, you had to be creative to survive.
That's true.
So there's an element of that survival of the species, and also just for me personally, just kind of getting through the trials and tribulations of life.
Oh yeah, it's like coping mechanism and catharsis.
100%.
Creative solutions to heckin' problems.
Definitely. Like, I don't know where I would be, like, before I found guitar and music. I think I started playing guitar when I was like 12. I never really felt like I had anything in life that I was really good at. I was still pretty young, but it was like I never got into sports. School was like, nothing really grabbed me as far as like academics. And then I just kind of stumbled upon guitar through some friends, and that was like, okay, like I kind of latched onto that,
right,
and it just like took over. It was like, okay, this is something. I started to get good at it. It was like all encompassing. I would get off school and just, that's all I would do for
right.
hours.
There's like inspiration and passion.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was something I was really passionate about.
Right.
So forget where I was going with that, but
that's okay. It can stop and start and come back. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like there's like the way that I like to do the conversation / interviews to just kind of like trail off until you hit a brick wall and wonder where you are.
Oh, I'm great at that. So
derailed convo is best convo.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it was something that I could be passionate about, and really it's an outlet. Creativity is at the end of the day, it's an outlet for me.
Right.
Whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm going through, if it's like stuff at work, stuff with family, just the world in general is a pretty stressful place these days.
Yeah, even more so for the last couple of years, definitely.
Right. Music is just something I can get lost in, and just turn my brain off in a way. It's like this dichotomy of like turning off my brain, but also like being very active and creating stuff.
Yeah, even the way that you're moving your hands sort of suggests like left brain versus right brain. It's like we're turning off. It's like this building is closing for the day, but now the nightclub is open. Like the post office is closed, now it's the discotheque.
Yeah, exactly. there's like channels to creativity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's the I have a couple approaches when I'm making songs, or if, you know, I have the mind off approach, which is like I'm just plugging in the guitar,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about it, I'm just making sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where a lot of my stuff comes from, is just that's the beginning of the process, is like, let's
Right.
see what happens, you know, no expectations, just kind of letting it flow.
Yeah,
um
exactly. Just sort of like meandering.
Being like an antenna, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, is like kind of how I think about it sometimes. It's just like,
Kitty.
oh, hey, come say what's up. That's Reenie.
Oh, nice.
And then the other way I sometimes like to make songs is I'll have something in my head, a sound, or sometimes it's a lyric, or sometimes it's like a bass line, or just kind of a vibe, like
Nice.
a feel, if you will. And then I'll try to get that out. You know, I'll try to make that
Mm-hmm.
real.
Yeah, because that's sort of because a lot of the time I'll find when people answer the first question, it does flow into the second one because it's what are you trying to express or accomplish with the art form? Because you've mentioned a couple things that sort of answer that question already.
Sure.
But I mean, you can like feel free to elaborate or talk about different things too.
Yeah. Well, definitely on this last release, the CD, They Are Not Responsible for You.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was a very personal kind of transition for me. I was going through a lot of changes. I was kind of facing some personal demons that I'd
Mm-hmm.
been, you know, living with for a long time.
Yeah. Shadow work.
Shadow work. So with those songs, that, you know, it's only 4 songs, but
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of me finding my creative voice again. It was kind of coming back to that. For a long
Nice.
time, I always have been playing music. I've always been playing guitar, but I kind of strayed away from kind of making my own music and putting my own voice out there.
Right, just sort of like studio musician kind of industry sort of situation. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Like I bounced around bands for a long time in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I played in a band called End of Ever for like 5 years. I played in a band called Like Clockwork with my friends Jesse and Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Halo Circus, obviously, with Allison.
Right,
Um, and those were all like amazing, you know,
right,
amazing projects for me. But um, you know, I was just focused on like playing shows and studio work, like you said,
right.
which was great. But I needed to get back to like my my stuff, kind of like selfishly making music for myself.
Yeah. I think
So yeah.
yeah, that's that's sort of in line with with what other people have said. My friend Cameron, that I've known for a long time, he was on a few weeks ago and he said that in some ways it's sort of like masturbatory. And I laughed because it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting him to say that, but it's sort of true. You know, it's hard to produce art without expressing your own voice, without satisfying yourself in some way.
I mean, for it to be real, for it to be 100% pure, you have to have some level of selfishness to it. You have to be doing it to, you know, for yourself, to make your something you want to create, something you want
Mhm.
to express. That's very important.
Yeah,
If you start thinking about, oh, is Teresa gonna like this song, is whoever, you know, then
right.
it's a little diluted, it gets a little tainted.
Yeah. Sometimes for me, it's just like it seems a little bit like egoic or slightly narcissistic, but it's like I want people to buy what I make and like I say what I make, you know? It's like this is what I've made, like why don't you buy it? Like why doesn't anybody like my stuff? Like it's like I've sold a couple of things, where the hell's everybody else, you know? Like
Yeah.
But it's sort of like I can't like force myself to make stuff that I know is popular, and when I've tried, it still doesn't do anything anyway. So it's like, well, if I'm gonna have stuff not sell, then I'd rather just make what I want anyway, you know?
Exactly. I've been trying to embrace that, kind of being on an island, just making music for the sake of making music. That's kind of why I didn't care about the Instagram thing. I was just like,
Mhm.
I'm over it for now. Maybe someday I'll get back onto it, but like, I'm not as concerned with the outside,
Yeah.
what people think. So it's yeah, it is a little selfish, but it's music. It's fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be too serious. And I think you just got to grind. You just got to do what makes you happy.
Yep.
Build your catalog, keep putting art out there, keep making cool stuff, and
Yeah.
people will catch on, you know.
I think like some of it too is you've sort of, and I was talking to with Mateo and Allison a little bit, mentioning like the idea of a feedback loop. But if you're sort of nurturing your own like expression, like you kind of build that energy, like, and it sort of comes back on itself, and that's when you can sort of push it into something that like, it's like you didn't really know that you could do,
Yeah.
which is like not where you'd get if you were trying to, you know, reach a certain audience or have a certain style sometimes, I think.
Yeah, it's an ebb and a flow for me as well. Like the creativity comes in waves. I think it's
Mm,
maybe that way for a lot of people,
yeah.
but definitely
Like,
for me, like 2020, 2019, I was in grind mode. Like
mhm.
I was recording a song almost every day.
Wow.
So I have like this catalog now of like dozens of songs. I mean, I didn't keep them all, but
Mhm.
um and right now I'm kind of in a point where I'm not I'm not doing that as much. Like
Yeah.
I still play almost every day, but I like to kind of bounce between tracking, like where I'm putting guitars and stuff down,
Mhm.
and like the producing, like mixing. I get
Right.
really lost in the mixing aspect of stuff.
Mhm.
Like I'll open up GarageBand and just I'll tweak songs. I'll be like, oh, let's try mixing this. Let's put the guitars over here. Let's pan things differently. Let's do different EQs,
Mhm.
switch drums around, whatever it is, like just to kind of like think outside the box,
Right.
keep my like brain thinking
Mhm.
outside the box, you know?
Yeah. But as a visual artist, like I don't always understand what those things mean, but in general, I can understand like what you're doing and the process of like, you know, moving stuff around and changing it and editing it. Because a lot of the time I'll take something I've drawn and I'll rework it to make different templates for
Yeah.
merch or prints, and then I'll like, okay, now I'm gonna draw it and it's gonna be a line drawing for coloring book, and now it's gonna be, you know, gonna like digitally trace the whole thing and color it in, and now I'm gonna make it a different, you know. So it's
Yeah,
those different kinds of permutations. It's like if you had a clay sculpture and then you started changing it around.
exactly. It's taking something you've already started and it just making it something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be any art form, I think.
Yeah, I think it does translate across different disciplines of art, I guess.
Do you have like a time of the day? Are you like a night
I'm doing like
creator?
what's frustrating for me is that one of the best blocks of time for me to work is from like 5 to 9 in the evening, and it's usually taken up by like householdy, dinnery kind of activities.
Hmm.
But it's like if I can get to a place where I'm focused and nobody's bothering me and I don't suddenly get hungry and like have to go on a hanger rampage, it's really productive. But the other best time for me is like between sometimes like 10, but more like sort of like 11:30 at night and like 4 in the morning. Those are
That
pretty much the best times.
that's where I am, is like 11 to 3 a.m. is
Yeah.
usually when I'm crushing riffs.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes if I don't immediately have an anxiety or a panic attack when I get up and it's like still morning and I get going, then I feel like I can do like a good clip of stuff like before noon, but that doesn't happen for me very
Yeah.
often because it's usually like, oh no, the sun's up again and I didn't sleep yet, and now I am gonna die if I don't sleep before I do stuff again.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, I'd probably be healthier if I kept into like a circadian rhythm, but I think it doesn't always happen
Yeah.
for a bunch of different reasons, which I don't want to,
Yeah.
take up all the time for you talking with me going on about that.
No, you're good. I'm with you.
Yeah. So the third question is, have you encountered the following, and do you think this has a link to creativity? And I keep expanding this question over the weeks. I think I've got it down now though. But so
Okay.
there's the like three different sections. There's the paranormal. So we have ghosts, aliens, past lives, interdimensionality, cosmic consciousness, ESP, out
Yeah.
of body, all that crap.
Yeah.
The second aspect of the question is psychedelic. So that's like whether you're doing substances or you're like tripped out by patterns or smells or music or meditation. And then the third aspect of the question is neurodivergence. So ADHD, autism, synesthesia, those kinds of things. So all that crap, have you
Yeah.
encountered them, or like, and or for any of the parts? And do you think it has a link to creativity?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we can go through section by section on this one, actually.
Yeah, that's fine. However you want to get into it.
Paranormal stuff. I've had a few like standout paranormal encounters in my life.
Oh, neat.
One, I didn't see the whole Mateo Allison interview yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he talked about the UFO.
I don't think he did. I think we were talking about jaguars getting high more than I don't think they mentioned anything paranormal. I think they both have some stories, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like, "Hey, why don't you talk about this right now?" Because I kind of
Yeah.
I was in a weird state of mind and I kind of talked over them a lot and then I felt like an asshole afterwards. It's like, "Damn it."
So yeah, I knew I was doing this, so I didn't want to watch too much of everyone else's.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to like get any ideas in my head. So Mateo and I, we moved out to LA together in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a band, got in a van, drove across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I did a majority of the driving. We were just kind of in it, we'd be up late, just driving. And we
Mm-hmm.
were driving through New Mexico. This was at like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 a.m. I forget the time
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And there was no one else on the road. We're in the middle of the desert. And this like light up in the sky, just slowly coming straight down.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the strangest thing. And I saw it and I was just so taken by it. I didn't say anything at first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just watching it. And he was driving. And I can't remember if it like took off or if it just kind of came down. I forget like what the end of it was, but
I think that's sort of common for those kind of sightings, to be honest, that people just kind of like memory varies from experience to experience.
yeah, and it was so long ago, but it was weird. It was
Mm-hmm.
like nothing I'd ever seen before. And I kind of watched it, and then both of us at the same time were like, "Did you just see that?" We were
Oh,
like,
maybe I have heard that story before. I feel like I remember him saying that once before, but that could have been on
probably.
Instagram like 2 years ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was very strange. I mean, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely a UFO. It was an unidentified
Mm-hmm.
flying
Yeah, I mean,
object.
they do have like white sands out in New Mexico, but I mean, it's sort of common for sightings of
weird
may
shit.
or may not have been ours in those areas anyway.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in the sky.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's
it
like
was
no matter where, who was doing it, it's definitely unidentified for you guys.
so I think it's fun to believe in that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's cooler to believe that there's more stuff out there
Right.
than not. So I'm all about it. I think
Yeah,
aliens are
I'm
exciting.
I'm more into the believer side too. I don't I'm I'm being uh uncharacteristically neutral right now.
Okay.
I don't want you to feel like I'm like, oh, you're full of crap. No, because I'm pretty sure you saw something unusual.
Well, who knows?
Sometimes I'll see like weird shit in the sky and I'll be like, ah, it's probably a UFO, like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's just the universe is so big and crazy that I think there's just stuff there has to be stuff out there that like we can't even conceive as human beings with these brains. I
Oh
feel
yes,
like
yeah, the
there's
meat
just
brain is
the
limited.
meat brain.
Yeah.
The other thing um that happened to me, it was around the same time, I think it was 2006.
Hmm.
I had like an out of body lucid dream,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, it was crazy. It was really
Hmm.
crazy. I I was taking a nap, so it was like the middle of the afternoon.
Mm,
Kind of it was light like this kind of light in the room.
yeah.
And I woke up and I started floating. Like I raised up above the bed and I like turned around and I was looking at myself.
Oh,
I
wow.
was looking at myself sleeping there.
Hmm.
And I was like lucid. I was aware of what was going on. And I was like, oh wow, this is cool.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go like float around my house. So I I leave the room and I'm kind of like I'm going through my house,
Hmm.
just like first person perspective.
Right.
Uh, and that's kind of what I did. I just floated around for a little bit, and then I came back into my bedroom, saw myself laying there
Hmm.
in the bed, and like came back down into my body and woke up. And
Neat.
the room looked exactly how it looked
Hmm.
in that lucid dream.
Nice.
It like shook me. I was like,
Yeah.
that was so wild. And I've had some other lucid dreams where I'm kind of in control
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh, I want to go fly. Like I've had dreams like that where I'm like flying in the sky or whatever, but
Yeah.
like the leaving my body and then coming back into it,
Hmm.
that was the only experience like that I've ever had, and that was wild.
Yeah. I don't actually, for some reason, I don't tend to lucid dream. I've had these sort of like I'm in college again and I'm like 2 credits shy from getting another degree, and or I'm like, even though I graduated from college, they're making me do high school again even though I'm in my 30s. And
Yes.
after like a few years of that same thing, I finally got mad in the dream and I'm like, no god, like I'm not getting on the goddamn school bus. Like I'm an adult, like so
Yeah.
that's sort of the only like lucid dreaming that I really experience. And normally when I have those sort of out of body dreams, I don't usually see myself. I usually am like, there was one I had when I was in college where I was like walking towards the bed and sitting down, but I wasn't like in it in the dream. But then it's like I wake up immediately. And I've had that where it's like where I'm like walking around in my room and I'm trying to get ready,
Yeah.
or I'm like downstairs in the house, or like I'm in my grandparents' house in Connecticut, even though they're dead,
Oh wow.
and then I wake up and I'm really tired because I was like wandering around and I'm not all the way back in. I'm like groggy for like 4 hours.
It's just wild. Like I think there's just levels and channels in our minds. The subconscious
Right.
runs very deep, and I just think it's so cool, the dreams and getting into psychedelics and those kind of like substances that kind of open up these pathways
Mm,
in your brain and make you kind of just kind of see things in a different light.
Right.
It's really interesting. And, you know, there's science behind it between like psilocybin being a not cure for depression, but, you know, an aid to people that are,
Right.
you know, having
Like
issues like that.
trauma stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
What was the part two?
Oh, it was
Like
part two was the psychedelics. So yeah, I
psychedelics.
actually just mentioned it.
Yeah.
And
I think there's a lot there. Tying it in with stuff like meditation,
mm-hmm.
you know, just kind of doing um putting your brain and your mind into different spaces,
Right.
shutting off your brain like in meditation. um just doing that alone, I think sends pathways, like it opens up other pathways during the day when you're active, when you're
Mm-hmm.
going about your day to day. I think having the time to meditate and shut it off is like very beneficial. It
Yeah.
has been for me, at least. I got into meditation like 5 years ago,
Nice.
and it's something I started doing every day. I had to like build it into my daily routine.
Nice.
So it's like I wake up, brush my teeth, start the pot of coffee, and then I'll meditate for like 10 minutes every day.
Nice.
Um,
I'm
it's
actually like
been
really
huge.
crap at meditating. I just like it's just really hard for me.
It
And I
took me a long time for it to stick.
yeah. Like I sort of have like this like background like self dialogue slash like jack into the Akashic records or whatever. So it's almost like there's always like one channel background meditating, but there isn't like it doesn't like I don't just generally do it. There's stuff that I did when I was younger in terms of listening to music and chilling out that would be closer to it, but it's
Yeah.
I kind of don't, and I keep trying to get into this qigong practice. So I got these two books by Jason Quit with two T's. And he just re-released them as like a new, like improved book. But I haven't been able to get it yet. But I keep trying to
Okay.
get into it, and then I'm like a lazy bastard and I don't do it. But that's like a meditation that would probably work for me if I actually built up a habit.
And that's what I had to do. It was like I just had to kind of dedicate 10. I mean, you could do 5 minutes a day, whatever
Hmm.
works. But it's not perfect. You know, there's days where I feel like I'm pretty dialed into it, and there's other days where my mind is just going crazy. And
Yeah.
that's part of it. Like a lot of it is just like noticing where your mind goes. It's like, oh, my mind's crazy today.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's just like, okay, yeah, my mind will not shut up.
That's
And you
that's
just,
usually my state of being is like
yeah,
ah!
yeah. But that's what it
Too
is. It's
many.
just like kind of being aware of that
Yeah.
and paying attention to it, and then letting it go and going about your day. It's tough. I
Mhm.
mean, I read it's a book called um I can't remember the name of it now. But there's a guy named Alan Watts. How are you familiar with Alan Watts?
I don't know if I've heard of him before or not.
He's like a psychedelic guru from the 60s.
Oh, okay. I think maybe I
He
have
he wrote a
them.
bunch of books. He was kind of one of the pioneers of like meditation,
Hmm.
psychedelics. Um, he's got some. I mean, just look him up, just to
Hmm.
read some of his quotes. He's got some really cool little snippets. I think you'd really like his
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like I like if he hung out with Timothy Leary, then I probably have heard of him. It sounds
Yeah,
vaguely familiar.
yeah. I think they were all in the same crew.
Yeah. I just want to let you know there's only like 2 minutes left on this like 40-minute segment, and
Okay.
it looks like you had some more stuff to say. So did you want to hop into the other meeting that I had scheduled just to like finish up for a couple of minutes? Because I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I think we're good. I mean,
Okay.
I felt like that was everything I had to say.
Okay.
Support local artists. I want to say that.
Yeah.
Allison and Mateo have a Patreon.
Yep.
for their
Yep.
virtual bar. So anybody watching this that can support them, please do. They're
Yeah,
good
they're doing
people.
live streams on most Thursdays. They have I think Allison has a thing coming up next week, but most Thursdays they'll be doing, and then Mondays they have little things going on too.
Yeah, support them. They're the homies.
Mm-hmm.
Follow my page on Bandcamp. I'm on Spotify.
Nice.
I plan on putting more music out
Yep.
at some point.
Yeah. So in the meantime, get the Dandelion Catastrophe, get the Fume song, Send Out the Clown if you haven't heard that. If you like to, thrash your eardrums a little bit, this is the thing to do.
Yeah.
I gave the extra CD you gave to me, I sent it to a friend of mine who likes harder music, and I don't know if she told me whether she liked it or not, but
I'm
I
sure
mean,
she loved it.
hopefully she listened to it and enjoyed it. So put it there.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
thanks for having me on. This was really awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I that was enjoyable. So thank you,
Yeah.
and we'll see you around the places.
All right, y'all.
All right, thanks,
Take care.
Brian. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
CATtheMinion energy work is focused on building a community around creativity and connectivity. Connect to new friends, the universe, and yourself. Shift your perspective of everyday life. Alleviate the stresses of daily life by tapping into self-expression. Help me build my offerings around your needs by investing, interacting, and brainstorming new things we can do. Your financial contributions via donations, purchases of goods and services, and participation on Patreon allow me to pay mundane bills, upgrade to better interactive services and equipment, and to buy art supplies and materials. Additionally, your support helps me pay it forward to charities, other energy workers, and artists, and to gain more visibility so our community can reach even more who need it. You can find a number of the goods and services I offer by clicking the links from my website, cattheMinion.wordpress.com, or from my link tree, depending on your preference, linktr.ee/cattheMinion. I'm offering original art pieces, digital downloads, art prints, merch, tarot readings, divination tools, templates, coloring books, a dark poetry book, YouTube content, self-care encouragement, and more.